I am Doug Friedman.
And I am Meredith Levy.
And this is Your Mental Breakdown,
the podcast.
We laugh every time we say that.
Every time.
Why? It's just a podcast.
We're so excited. We're so excited.
It's true. We're excited.
Yeah.
We're licensed psychotherapists and longtime friends, and we're excited to talk at you, to you, at you,
with you.
Okay,
yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
People might be talking to their, I don't know, the ether when they listen to a podcast.
They might.
Do you talk to podcasts?
No.
Do you talk to movies?
No, I don't think so. I talk to myself a lot. A lot.
Out loud?
Yes.
Ah, nice.
Or if I'm with a dog, my sister's dog or something, I talk to them a lot.
Sure. Yeah, that's different. That's something that can actually listen to you, as opposed to, I used to talk to sporting events. You know, that I would talk to.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Yeah. Although I used to love being in movie theaters when people would talk to the movies, like when they're just talking to people next to them.
Right.
Bugged the heck out of me. Like,
yeah.
Ugh. I think I was the guy shushing people.
Understandable.
Right? Bugs me. I want to like pretend that nobody else is there but me in the movie.
Yeah.
Although when they're talking to the screen, then it's cracks
funny.
Me up. I love that. Yeah.
I'm going to start being that person that yells at people to put their masks on, I think. I'm like,
really bugging you?
Yes, dude. When I go hiking and I'm wearing my mask and choking and dying and other people pass me and they're not, and they just smile at me, I'm like, what the fuck are you smiling at?
Yeah.
Just at least make the effort, or like, you know, have it around your neck or whatever. And if you see I'm wearing mine, you don't have to put yours on. I don't really care. But you're just flying down the hill, no mask. Like, come on, dude. It's the law here.
I understand the logic. I think it's flawed logic, and it's right. It's no longer like acceptable policy. But
yeah,
if you're outdoors and you're 6 feet away, that's fine. But when you're passing each other.
Exactly.
Guess what we saw on the trail today?
What?
Cow or cows. Cows? Cow.
Cows.
Cows is the plural of cow.
Yes. Oh my God.
Like moose. You don't say meese. You say moose, right?
One moose. I don't know. Anyway, cows. That's amazing. Why did you see cows while you were hiking?
This trail was an open range trail.
Yeah.
And there's even a sign. It's one where dogs have to be on leash because there's too much wildlife. And even though Beckett's now registered here in Colorado as voice and sight command trained, so he has a special tag and he can be off leash in certain areas. But this area, there's wildlife. I'm like, okay, cool. Wildlife. That means like coyotes, foxes, bears when the bears are out. No. There were cows.
Moo.
Oh yeah. I was like, move out of the fucking way. But they were right on the trail, on the path. Like I could reach out my hand and touch them.
No way.
And they were huge.
What did Beckett do?
Absolutely nothing to the first group that was on the actual path. He just kind of like was a little unsure, was, sticking pretty close to me and walked through and was like, cool. And then as we got further down the trail, there were a bunch of cows down a little bit. And those he was barking his head off at.
Oh
like
my
that
God.
was like, I'm safe enough distance that I could bark and it was more excited. Like, hey, how you doing? You want to play? Where are you from? You're a weird dog. What kind of dog are you?
That's I can see that happening. Amazing.
Right.
Well, that's fun. I got my Christmas tree.
Oh I It's a Jewish tradition, isn't it?
Super is, yes. You know what? Sorry, Jewish holidays just aren't as fun. I don't know if I've ever said that before. They're just not. Like Easter, Christmas, Halloween.
Yeah.
They're all just more fun. Hanukkah is like, meh. I mean, Hanukkah starts tomorrow, right?
That's right.
Which is fun.
Yeah, there's some fun that I remember as a kid, like playing games with the dreidel or lighting the menorah. Like that seemed ritualized and that was fun. But Christmas was like the tree.
Right.
Doing like trimming a tree is awesome. I love that. You know, all the different ornaments you can put. And even growing up, I think you and I talked about this before, like we were certainly acknowledging both. We would celebrate's a weird word for it to me. We would practice Hanukkah, observe Hanukkah, but we also had a Christmas tree and put the Hanukkah presents under the Christmas tree.
We had the Hanukkah more at my dad's and Christmas tree at my mom's, but either way. Right. So I went to get the tree. My sister met me, my niece, her friend. We go. I get there and he's like, okay, how big tree do you want? I'm like, I don't know, probably just like 6 feet. I don't know what happened, but somehow my sister and I get the tree home and we like set it down and we stand back and we're like, holy shit, this tree is huge. What happened? And I mean, like peeing our pants, laughing so hard. And I was like, no, this is too big. And I was like, I'm going to have a heart attack. I have to put this outside. I can't have it here. She's like, okay. We FaceTime my brother-in-law and he's like, whoa, that thing's gigantic. I was like, that's it. I can't keep it. I can't have it. So I literally like thought about it in my sleep. And I woke up in the morning and I walked out there and I was like, nope. So my sister and I have the ranchero, luckily, throw it in the back of the ranchero, drive down the street because it's not very far, pull in, and we're the only people pulling in the lot with a tree. I said to the guy,
what's your return policy?
Right. And I was like, it's too big. And he was like, okay. So we picked out another one. Oh, and I asked him how tall the first one was. He's like, oh, between 7 and 8 feet. I'm like, how the fuck did that happen? So picked out another one. It's a little one, maybe 5 feet or something, put it back in the ranchero, drove home, set it up, and it's just perfect.
Yeah. Does it smell like forest in your house now?
Oh, it smells so good. That's the whole reason.
I love that. That's my favorite part. And that's why we used to get a wreath from near Washington State. Well, in Washington State, we'd get a wreath from this farm out there and it would smell like Washington State forest, which is amazing. I love that smell. And like kept that wreath around for months, even before and after Christmas. I love that smell. I mean, now here in Colorado, I'm surrounded by it. So it's different, but having that smell inside. And for me, like I never really understood the wreath as like, celebratory and all that until I actually could smell what it does to like the house when you open the door. And it's, man, I'm such a sucker for that. Like I'm full into that.
I know, me too.
Bring it on.
That's why I get a tree basically, is for the smell. Then there's the question of like, how long do you leave the tree up? Do you remember Garden State do you remember in their house, they had, not only did they have hamster house mazes all over the house, they had the Christmas tree that was up all year round.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, when do you take it down? For me, easily before the 1st, probably the 26th.
Wow, really?
27th,
oh,
maybe?
Humbug. I kind of go, well, so my birthday's in early January. So I kind of go like, all right, we'll just get rid of it by my birthday. That's fine. If you're still hanging on to it like past the new year, that's fine. It's still celebratory. I like that.
Yeah. you know. Well, I got one very early this year. Also, my birthday is next week. Again, I think I've said it before, but everybody, I love my birthday. So feel free to wish me a happy birthday. Send me red velvet cake.
And we didn't get to do that last year.
I know.
You and I were like recording stuff, but we weren't airing. So it was like,
you're right.
I remember that because you were like, can I say it's my birthday?
Oh, yeah,
No, these aren't coming out yet. Like we weren't doing it like this. Like this, we're doing it like kind of like real time.
Yeah. It's my birthday.
I'm sure you will probably get a little social media shout out somehow.
Oh.
And everybody is probably going to be talking to the podcast, wishing you a happy birthday, which you won't be able to hear.
You're not wrong. I agree. Speaking of talking to the podcast.
Yep. So I like this session. We got into some cool stuff. And this is the last session that you hear before he goes home for the wedding. Well, not home. The wedding, I think, is in El Paso. So before he goes to the wedding. So you'll hear us kind of doing our last little prep about that. And I think we teased it last week. He says it in the first line. So I'm not giving too much of a spoiler away that pretty much his worst fear of like what could happen with this family already happened.
Right.
Which You guys stick around because you'll hear him say it. Literally, I think it's the first sentence he says to me, right?
I believe so. Yep.
Check it out. We will be back with you at the end of this and break it on down.
My mom relapsed. Saw this weekend, everything was cool. Everything was just fun, you know? And then I called her and she was super fucked up. Like super fucked up, and I could hear it. You know, and I called her out on it. Like, this is the first time I've caught her being fucked up and not gone into like fight or flight mode. I was kind of like, okay, been here before. It's gonna be all right. I just want her to deal with her shit because there's nothing I can do.
Amen, brother.
Like even being down here, like I just can't. So it was kind of like the first time where I was like, okay, let's do this a little differently this time. Not like freaking out and super anxious about anything. And, you know, I'll see her tonight and like, I'm not like pent up, like what's going to happen? Oh my God. It's just like, okay, like here we go. See what happens.
How is that different? Because this used to be the kind of thing where all the alarms went off. I mean, shit, I remember when your mom was in town and she was fucked up and you were like, let me take her back to the hotel, deal with my mom. Let me just figure it out. I mean, the alarms were all like sounded and you went into full, like, let me take care of everything mode. Let me put on the cape and be Superman, right? So how is it different for you now? I mean, I know it is different.
So my dad called me again. And so kind of the same as when I was skiing.
Yep.
And he was like, yeah, so found alcohol. Like she's been out with your grandma, like driving her around, like fucked up, found pills, found everything all over again. I mean, that hurt. Like, it still hurts. And so I sobbed for a minute and I definitely broke down and cried. But it wasn't like there's nothing I can do cry. It was just like I felt so bad for my mom because I know she's going to feel guilty and I know she's going to go like she's going to beat herself up over this. Like that hurts me just watching her do that.
Sure.
But it's not like, oh my God, I gotta go fix this. I feel separated. Yeah, I'm involved, but it's not my issue to fix.
Does that mean you don't care as much?
Nah, definitely not. Because I still saw it. You know, I still felt it and I still went through it. And, and I still feel sad. I still feel emotional about all of this. But I don't feel guilt and I don't feel like shame about it anymore. Like, especially going to the wedding.
Yeah.
I'm not like, oh my God, I got to hide my mom from everybody.
Yeah, the wedding is coming right up.
Yeah.
And all right, well, that's my mom. That's not me. That's the separateness.
Right.
And I don't have to take it on and solve it. And then it will be solved. And then I can put it back on her all fixed.
Right.
And you're smiling this whole time. You're smiling.
Yeah. I feel like up until this point, I knew it was coming. Like eventually, like she's a human. She's going to slip up eventually. And I think I was really uptight about the thought of it happening because I didn't know how I was going to react. And I was more afraid of my reaction to all of this than I was of actually going through it. And now that we're here and this is like a good milestone where she's like fucked up and like we're okay. Like it's going to be fine. Like it's okay.
What makes it a good milestone?
I think emotionally how I feel right now. And not how I'm thinking. Like, it's not like, cause I've thought the same way through other ones.
Sure.
But I've never felt grounded in it. Like I've never felt like solid going through it.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, like I know we're going to be okay.
Right.
It's just shitty.
Yeah. There's something that I hear too, that I would say what distinguishes it this time for you, especially with that separateness you're talking about, is that this is my milestone.
Yeah.
I'm different in how I'm responding to this. Not it's a milestone where she's fucked up or relapsed again. And here's what happened. Here's how it messes us up. This is the point at which I can approach it with compassionate detachment.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like I still care and I'm still here for her. Yesterday, she tried calling me and I think I was sleeping and like I didn't want to talk to her. And so I was like, hey mom, like I'm not up to talking to you right now. I'll see you at the wedding. We can talk. It's totally okay. So it wasn't like I didn't jump right into it. Yes, come on. Like, let's fix this right now. Oh my God.
Yeah. What a shift, man.
Crazy, right? Like,
it's the opposite of crazy. That's insane, right? I mean, it's amazing because it's compassionate detachment. I still have that compassion. It still bothers me. I still feel for her. All of that stuff. I don't care any less, like you said. And I look at my movie, my life, and what's going on in that. And this is something that happens in my movie. I don't have to jump into hers to fix what's going on and take it on as my fault. If only I was better, this wouldn't have happened. If only I was there. You said a word earlier that stuck out for me. I heard it. And I want to just grabbing, let's see how you take it. Because how you described this to me was, I caught my mom. She relapsed. Caught her.
Yeah. I think I say caught because I do feel like I catch her. I feel like I snooped and going back to that, looking for what it is. And now I feel like, haha, I got you. This time, I don't think it's like that. I think I use the same terminology just because I caught her. I definitely caught her in the act of being fucked up.
Right.
Like, I called my dad first thing. And so I was like, Dad, you need to go take care of this. Like, I can't. I'm out. Like, I'm here to support you and I'm here for you. I'm here for her, but I can't. There's nothing I can do at this point.
Right.
And you need to go do this. You're her husband.
Yeah.
Like, this is your job, not mine.
Absolutely. Like you said, it's her thing.
Right.
She's going to do it regardless. She'll do it again too.
Yep.
And catching her, I liked how you said, I used to snoop and play detective and do it. Whatever you're looking for, you're going to find. This is just, no, it happened and I caught it. Not I'm out there to go, busted. Right. You fucked up. Now be different.
Yeah. And like throughout all of it, I'm like, I love you so much. Like, you fucked up, but like, I love you. So it's not even like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's like, no, you fucked up. Sorry. This is your choice. And like the other big thing, completely not related, but kind of related to the whole separation thing. I know I've been talking about getting a dog lately, over the last couple of months. And I finally found one. He's a cute little guy. He's 4 months old. I'm going to see him on Monday. Put a deposit down. Super cool. Love it. I'm excited for it because it's like, I previously was like, hey, Mom, can I get a dog? Are you okay with me getting a dog? I wrote her like I thought about you when I wrote her this text. And I was like, Mom, I'm a grown up now. I said something like, I'm an adult. Like, this is my decision, but I want your support in it. It's not that I'm going to let you make my decision for me. And so I thought it was like a way better way to think about it of like, I do want her support and I do want her to be excited for me to do that, but I'm not going to have her dictate whether I get it. Like, it's my choice.
I mean, it's the icing or the cherry on top. I'm going to do this regardless. I would love your support. It's a weird flip.
Yeah. Right.
But go with me here. I'm going to drink and take pills regardless. And I would love your support. Okay. Well, no, you don't have it. You're going to do it anyway.
Right.
I don't know if you get where we're going. What do you think of that?
Yeah.
It's a weird flip though, right?
It is. And I think one's productive and one might not be. But I think it's like a double-sided sword in that sense.
Exact same sentiment. Flip it. And like you said, not productive.
Right.
True. It might be serving a purpose for her. Okay, whatever. But it's her movie.
Right.
She's going to do it regardless. Whatever. That's her movie. And you're seeing it that way. The same way you're seeing yours is, this is my life.
Yeah.
I'm an adult and I'm making this decision. I'm doing this. I would love your support because that would be the icing, the cherry on top. Right? If I don't get it, that's okay. I'm still going to do this.
Right.
Which in a sense is what your mom's saying. By doing it, I'm going to keep using. Granted, she doesn't get our support, but we're also not enabling that. We're not just going to drop everything to go take care of, like, all right.
Yeah, and which I don't want from her either. I know her. She'd want to come down here for a week and make sure everything's okay with the puppy and me and take care of it. And it's like, no, like I got this. I saved my money. I did what I needed to do. I've done my research and I feel prepared for it. And I think that's all that matters.
Yeah. And again, with the flip, she's not going to say, I got this. I'm just going to keep getting fucked up. It's cool. I know this route.
Yeah.
And it's hard to just allow somebody to keep doing that because it is much more destructive than having a dog. It's just a whole different way of treating yourself in your life. And for some, it's not a choice. It's a chemical dependency. It's an addiction.
Right.
But that idea, as we were talking about separation, is still really important to see that way. And I think you do. And it's a really interesting juxtaposition of you getting a dog, realizing this is my movie, this is my thing, I'm doing this. I love your support, but whether or not I get it, I'm doing this. Same thing.
Yeah.
With a relapse. I don't need to fly out there and make sure you're okay. Hey, Dad, you're right there, man.
That's his choice.
Exactly.
And that's his movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's still shitty. It is still shitty.
Absolutely is.
But it's not as shitty.
It's no longer your responsibility. It's not like now I have this thing that I'm carrying around that's so heavy. I got to deal with it. I can't deal with anything else.
Well, and like the other thing that was different this time too was I didn't call a bunch of people. I wasn't like, oh my God, this is help. It was like, okay, I got my 2 boys around me. Let's cry for a minute, hug it out. We'll be all right. On to the next.
Right.
I thought that was like the biggest thing, because I usually reach out to like a bunch of people and do all this shit, and it's like I need that reassurance from them.
Yes.
And now I'm looking like I almost got it straight for myself with the help of those 2 guys.
Absolutely. And that's what those guys do for you. That's the function of a support network.
Yeah.
Not to lift you up when you cannot lift yourself and to hold you there. It's to help you up, which is why we don't do the same for addicts all the time, because if we keep doing that, they're going to keep falling over. They've got to help themselves up.
Yeah.
You are helping yourself up. And you lean on support to have, like you said, cry it out, have that emotion, do that thing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You need that. That's part of your process. And of course we're going to have an emotional response to it. Even if we can be separated and detached from it, it's going to have an impact. We're going to feel something. I love that you didn't instantly go to alert mode.
I feel like I have control over myself. And it's like, that's what I've realized. That's what I've been searching for. It's like, I thought I needed to control everything else. I just need control in here.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, that makes sense. It clicked.
Yeah, it clicked because I'm now experiencing it.
Yes.
I haven't experienced it before. I've been so uncertain, so untethered, and I've relied on pops or friends or other people for that grounding, for that center, just to like get that reassurance that it's in me. That's okay. Knowing I got this, I'll get through this. I don't hear a level of alarm, alert, panic, anxiety about it in the same way it's hit you before. And you seem like you feel different.
Over the last couple of days, usually I get like super sad and emotional. Like I just get into my emotional ball. I haven't gone there yet at all. I won't go there because I feel like I'm already over that little piece. Yeah. I'm more motivated for myself than to just wait and be like, oh, is everybody okay?
You mentioned going to Texas. Shift to that gear.
Yeah. Wedding is the wedding. I'm fully in let's see what happens. I'm stoked about it. I'm stoked to see my family again.
Tell me a little bit, because it sounds like you're more adventure mentality than challenge mentality, right?
So I went and picked up my tux the other day, and I kind of had a revelation of like, okay, rehearsal dinners for Big Drew. I can dress however I want and go as crazy as I want. So I'm going to kind of have fun with it Friday and do it kind of where I want to be. And then more so for his wedding, I want to respect him, do his thing. This is the cleanest haircut I've ever had in the last 4 years. So I'm doing little things to kind of like play that part and show him I respect him and try and not tone it down, but find where my lane in that is. I'm having fun with me doing my thing Friday, helping him doing his thing Saturday. And I think that plays into this because I'm still wearing the tux that I want to. It's comfortable for me because that allows me to fit in and kind of play that role, while also allowing myself to be who I need to be independently. I think that's different than Bachelor because I had so many questions and so many like upfronts about it because I wanted to be accepted by his friends. And now the thought was like, okay, well, if I go in like cowboy boots, a cowboy hat, and a big buckle, they're going to be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like this isn't who you are. Like, why are you doing this?
Right.
So playing that back into my vulnerability and being authentic, it's like, I want to show up as myself anyway. So I'm going to dress as myself. I'm going to be myself. And I think that's a lot better than where I was at.
Yeah.
Bachelor party.
Yeah. It really is about being myself. That's what's going to come out. Talk about that with tattoos or earrings or whatever it might be, right? I'll tell you about my senior prom just for a second.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, bring it on.
Senior prom.
So I wore jeans like all the time. And wearing a tux, I was like, I don't want to wear a fucking tux. So I told my girlfriend I was going to do this. And she was like, don't you dare. I cut off tux, shorts,
Gangster.
right? So I had tux shorts.
Yeah.
I got a jacket with tails and a cowboy hat.
Sick.
And that's how I showed up to pick her up.
Yeah.
I had real pants and a real jacket in the limo, right? I wasn't an idiot at senior prom. I want to get some. Right?
Yeah, right.
If I can't wear black jeans, fine. I'll wear tux pants, but I'm going to cut them off.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah.
So I showed up in our initial pictures, me wearing the cowboy hat, and tuxedo shorts, and the tails, and we're all taking the pictures. And then I changed even right there so that we could do pictures with me in the real tuxedo.
Right.
I had to do it that way.
I love it.
Had to, right?
It,
I figured you would.
Yeah,
right?
I love it.
And it was really like, here I am. Mm-hmm. I'm doing it my way. And now I'll do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm different now.
Mm-hmm. If
I had to go to a prom now, which I don't, how do you think I'd show up?
In your jeans.
Why?
Because you're going to show up as yourself.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I would show up in the tux.
Yeah. Why?
I would be myself. I'd be okay wearing a tux because the tux isn't going to be me. The tux won't define who I am on the inside.
Yeah.
And then, I see that. Yeah. Because I don't have to wear the jeans to show everybody I'm me. I know I'm me inside.
Right.
Now I don't give a shit what I wear.
Yeah, because you don't have to rebel against anything. You just show up as yourself, and that's cool.
Yeah. And that's like, you're the LA guy now. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll be the LA guy in the same tux everybody else is wearing. Still the LA guy.
I would still might dress a little differently, but probably in the same way.
Yeah. If
I still live in Seattle, it's the same kid up there as I am down here.
There you go.
And so it's like, even like, I think the LA guy is more of a role that I get to play and allows myself to be myself. Because like even now I struggle with telling people like what I actually do, because it's like I gotta lie to a certain extent because I sign NDAs and I can't really talk about a lot of it, right? And so it's like when people ask me, and I'm just like, well, I work at a company and I kind of do fashion, and I kind of trying to move on. And I thought about it for this week, and I know people are gonna ask, and I know it's not gonna matter if I actually tell them what I do. It's like, who the fuck are they gonna tell? Like, like they don't care. You know what I mean? I, for a second, was like, oh, I'm going to make the story and I'm going to be this. And then they won't know. And I was like, well, I'm just going to tell them because they live in El Paso, Texas. That was like the other big thing where I was like, okay, I'm just going to kind of show up and see where it goes.
Coming up with the story, what do I tell? What do I do? You don't have to hide it. You don't have to project it and put it out there and impress people with it. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a reality, which is I'm a fashion designer. Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. I'm in fashion. What in fashion?
Yeah.
I design. I can't really talk about it. And some of it's fun. And it is like your little secret you can't tell people.
It was fun.
It was. Now what is it?
Now it's almost a burden.
Like instead of you being what you do, you being how you're doing it, if that makes sense. But when people go like, oh, well, what do you do in LA? Mm-hmm. You can tell them about what you do. You don't have to tell them work for this company, for this guy, this artist said this.
Yeah.
It's not that.
I'm going to try and keep it short. I think that's like where I find comfortable. That's like the most vulnerable spot in my life, I think, because there's so much judgment both ways. I don't think I'm secure enough in myself yet to be okay with that judgment either way, like good or bad. I get caught up in the good and in the bad. Right. And so for me, it's like, I think I'm just going to be, I'll play the clothes.
It's interesting because I think you're getting to a place of what's more genuinely you and how you want to be and how you want to be present.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of fitting that role because that part of my role is, I am the LA guy because that is me.
Right.
I'm in LA right now. Here's what I'm doing right now. Mm-hmm. But less about the uncertainty of where do I fit in or who's going to accept me or what do the ushers do and how do I do it right? And what do
Yeah.
Yeah. You're nodding and smiling.
Yeah, definitely. I'm finding myself in all of this. Which is like, it's dope. I mean, it's crazy. I've been thinking about kind of like where my mind state's been in the last like year, right? Yeah. And like where I started kind of halfway through it and like where I'm at now. It's been one of those things where I think you said it right when we first started, where I'm not going to wake up and just be like, oh, I'm fixed. But it's like going back, it's like I've seen so much progress in like my mind, the way I think and the way I just operate my day-to-day life.
Right.
It's so different. Like it's so vastly different right now.
Yeah.
And it's only getting better. I've had some bumps and some shit in the road, but I think this last weekend and my mom relapsing has been a true test of like where I'm at.
It's a really nice, like you said, mile marker for yourself. Mm-hmm. It's happened before, it'll probably happen again. And it's shitty that it happened now. Mm-hmm. What's awesome about it, the circumstance, is that your relationship to it has changed. Your perspective has shifted. Mm-hmm. your sense of responsibility for it and your movie is more yours.
Mm-hmm. And I think I needed this going into this weekend. As wild as that sounds, like I needed this, like my own, what we call it, assurance. It's not reassurance, it's my own assurance.
Yep.
Because now I'm fully confident going into this. Because that was my biggest worries already happened.
Right.
And I'm okay.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, well, what else do I have to worry about then? Nothing. It's already happened. We're good.
Yeah.
I already got that shit out of the way.
It's going to be nice to be there too, because it will be taking this out for a spin while you're there. I get the sense that you are more woke now than you've been in a while in terms of being yourself. The actual wedding itself, where are you at with that? I mean, it sounds like, all right, I'm here, I'm doing your thing.
Okay, so the other thing with the wedding, to kind of put it all together, was I was like, oh, how am I going to get weed there? What am I going to do? Like, and I was like, dog, honestly, like, it's not really worth it. So I'm not going to bring anything. And like, for me, that was the biggest like test, to where it was like, I can go fully as myself in every aspect. And so like wedding, you excited to see me get married. I've never been to a wedding. So like, this is like
wow, really?
Yeah. So like, this is the first time I'm like, okay, this is what a wedding is. Like, you really get that vibe. So I'm super excited just to kind of like learn and see what happens. And I'm excited to see my parents. Shitty stuff going on, but still super excited to see them. Excited to meet his fiance, future wife, because I still haven't. So like,
sure.
And excited to meet the people he hangs out with, because I don't know them either. So it's like I can meet a new brother and all of his friends all at once. And that's kind of how I'm looking at it too. It's like my long lost brother, not a brother I haven't talked to in 10 years.
Yeah. And it's really cool because that sounds to me like you're going, yeah, I'm going there to see this Polaroid that I haven't seen before. Yeah. And I just want to check that out. Yeah. And the old Polaroid that I have, we can address that later. Don't need to have that talk with him or say, hey, in order for us to be together at some point, we need to figure this out. No, let me just see who he is now. And at the same time, you're getting that assurance and that stronger sense of your snapshot of who you are now. Yeah. Going, here, I'm going to show you who I am now. And maybe for each of you, that's still going to evolve.
I bet it will.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for that. But it's just like, all right. Yeah, I'm just stoked to go. Yeah, I know it's going to go really good. I know I'm going to have a lot of fun. I'm excited for that. And if it goes the opposite, I'll get through it. I'll come home on Monday.
There's a way that you're talking about it now that I want to highlight, because if you heard yourself, especially with the bachelor party and thinking about going to Texas the first time, was too much uncertainty for you at the time.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't know them. I don't know who they are. Like, Dad, will you please go? Will you please go to the bachelor party? And you're smiling now because you remember this, right?
Yeah, totally.
And now you're kind of going, what you just said was like, yeah, because I don't know anybody. It's like seeing a new brother and his friends. Like, cool.
Yeah.
You're embracing the very thing that you were so afraid of and uncertain of.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing for that was understanding that I needed to have fear to have courage. That clicked. And I was like, it's okay to be scared.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. Like that's actually where I thrive.
Yeah.
And which is like crazy because I get so anxious and I get so caught up in all of it. But like I find myself having the most fun and getting the best out of myself in those situations. And so it's like I've always been afraid of it. And now I'm realizing that that's where I thrive.
I love that because that's you coming to that and you experiencing that. And that whole idea, like you said, I mean, I stole that line from you of it's okay that I'm not okay, right? I'm not okay. That's okay. Yeah. And that's right. And part of like, oh, this is fear. That's okay. It's a precursor to courage and strength. Okay. Right. I don't have to get rid of the fear or make it better or run through all the different scenarios and make it okay, know how I'm going to be okay. It's cool.
Yeah.
And you having that attitude be more natural for you now. And going, oh yeah, it's because of this.
Yep.
Not in spite of it, but because of this. Oh, so I can embrace that I get this reaction because I know what's coming. I know how this goes. And I know where I used to go. Yeah, I love that because that I believe you when you say that. You know,
I believe you when I say it.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
You get to take this out for a spin. And sure, there's going to be challenges to this, but there'll be adventure with it.
Yeah. And I think I had like a really rough last 2 months. Like just mentally where I was at, where I saw the world, all like everything. I said it a couple of times. I think even like the last month, yeah, I'm okay. And I don't think I was. I don't think I am quite yet. I think I'm finally understanding where I need to be, and I can see it now. And now I'm like, this makes sense.
I think what you're describing now is sort of like, yeah, I don't feel that, but I recognize how that's going to be for me.
Yeah.
And I can see myself practicing that and starting that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that's from that place, nothing's going to be able to knock you down.
Yeah.
You'll get knocked on your ass.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Times.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of it. So we can get back up.
Right. And keep learning, keep going, and all that shit.
And we are back with you.
We sure are. And wow, what a doozy.
Right?
Okay, let's just jump right in.
Doozy or don't see?
God, such a cornball. Oh my God.
Never stops.
Never. I had to actually like rewind it because I was like, wait, what did he say? I was surprised. So
when he said his mom relapsed, like
Yeah.
that part?
mhm.
Yeah, that's why I didn't feel so bad about teasing it, because he says it.
Yeah.
I think it was like so fast into the session, like even coming into the room and sitting down, he's like, so my mom relapsed. Like, huh?
Right. And I guess I was a little confused because I guess I didn't know that she was quote unquote sober, or how long she had been for, or.
Yeah. I don't know that I'd call her sober. I would say that she.
Well, that's why I did air quotes.
Right. Sometimes she doesn't use. But I mean, I don't think she's working a program, and she's not working on being sober. That's not her thing.
Yeah. So that's why I didn't think that then when you said she relapsed. And maybe it's just that he considers this relapse because it was like a big whatever, like.
Right.
And then it took me a little bit to, I think she's in Texas, right?
He was flying that night. I think.
So she was already there.
Yeah.
Is what I think happened. And so that I think was a way bigger deal, right? Because it's 2 days before the wedding.
Right. I mean, his big thing, like the biggest thing of what he was worried about was that his mom was going to be fucked up at the wedding.
Right.
And that's what he was saying. Like, I was talking to her and she was super fucked up.
Right. And he said, so what I thought was cool though, he said he called her out on it, but he also said this was the first time that he's caught her and not gone into like fight or flight, that he was okay. He was like, all right, well, it's your decision. And then when his dad called him and told him what was going on, he was basically like, Dad, you need to fix it, not me. Like, you deal with it, which I thought was cool.
Oh man, so cool. I loved this. And this is what we've been working towards and what we've been working on when we talk about that becoming your own person and being an individual and being okay with disappointment and letting that be there for others and for yourself.
Right.
All of that to me was put into practice in this moment. And having that happen was, I mean, it's hard to say this. It sounds, sadistic in a way, but I loved that she relapsed before he even got out there.
Totally.
I love that he got to have that experience and recognize, I didn't feel the need to get out there right away and to fix it and to deal with it. Like, okay. And previously, how close he is with Dad has been about caretaking Mom. And he was just like, no, that's okay. And he knows it's not about him or anything that he did or didn't do.
Yeah. And he said, like, it hurts him to know how badly she's feeling. And yet it's not his problem to fix. He doesn't have any guilt or shame. He's still sad. And then I think that's when you guys talked about compassionate detachment, which I loved.
Yep. I love that phrase. And he said, like, I still cried. I still feel bad. I just don't feel the guilt or the shame because I don't own it. It's not mine.
Right.
I can feel sad about it. Like, yes, that's compassion and compassionate detachment. So you're not trying to take it on, feel it, fix it, any of that stuff. And it's so hard because we think that in order to really be there for somebody with what they're going through, we kind of have to go through it with them. And it's not true.
Yep, exactly.
One of the things, side note, as a therapist that I've talked to a lot of colleagues about, when clients are telling you something very impactful and they're crying about it, sometimes it's nice to know that your therapist empathizes and can understand, but it's also sometimes pretty jarring when your therapist cries also.
Yeah.
Right?
That's only happened to me like 3 times in my life, probably.
Right.
I mean, I've wanted to, or I've sort of teared up, but not, yeah.
Well, and that's the empathetic piece. Like I can be there and understand that and I can feel for you there. But as therapists, we can compartmentalize. We're supposed to, we need to, so that we can practice compassionate detachment. I'm still having compassion for you and understanding we'll work on this, but you have to detach so you don't take it on. Because if you're crying about something and your therapist is crying, it's like, great, now we're both in this. What good is that?
Totally.
Quick side note on that too, right? Because sometimes I've had people say like, God, I told my therapist this thing and they were just a wall. That's the other side of the spectrum, like the people that have such a wall between them. And you and I, we've talked about this. We're pretty transparent. We disclose. Yeah. Some schools of thought say, no, a therapist is a wall so that it can all be about the client. And that, to me, that can be so unnerving.
Yeah. For me, I have a reaction. I often remind clients like, that is so fucked up. If a client talks about how they were abused as a kid and I'm like, I'm so sorry. That's fucking horrible. Because a lot of times we have our story, like Drew, and, you know, he can tell a story of mom being fucked up growing up. And of course, we're not necessarily connected to the emotion in the moment, which we don't have to be. But sometimes we get so either jaded or super detached. And it's sometimes nice to remind or validate somebody how shitty of an experience that was. And just like, no, that's not okay. It happened and it's not okay. And I'm sorry.
Yeah. And that's listeners that heard the session that I did with Wyatt when he went through the aneurysm and then cancer. He didn't have an appreciation for what he went through. He was just kind of going like, yeah, whatever. It was just, you know, what I had to endure. And if I just went along with that one, yeah, it's just what you endured. Cool. And you got through it. Like I had to kind of stop him and slow him down. Like, dude, that was a lot.
Right.
Like, that happened. Right. You know, and really just give space for that and allow the emotion to come up. Sometimes clients don't want to go there and don't want to have the emotion.
Totally.
And that's fine too.
And that's fine. Yeah. 100%. But just to acknowledge it, I think.
Yeah. If every time he talked about, mom was using, and I just went, oh God. Yeah. When you were a kid and you found me, that was so sad. I can't believe that. That's too much. Like that's not where he is in his story.
Right. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because normally we break it down in order, or I'm very linear like that, but I'm just going to skip ahead to talking about the actual weekend of the wedding and talking about basically his outfits.
Right.
That's all I heard. There was nothing deeper.
Right.
I'm just kidding. So the outfits that he kind of talked about how Friday, the rehearsal dinner, like that'll be for him, his chance to sort of show his individuality and who he is. And that the wedding day will be more for his brother and he will be in his wedding tuxedo and blend in more to let his brother have the spotlight. And I just thought that was a really good insight into how to approach the situation. Cause I can get that.
There was a cool story that he told. It got cut because there were too many identifiers of when I think his brother was at like a graduation from officer school, that he was there with his dad and, you know, they were sitting at a table and there were all these like official, like, I don't know, West Point style people of like, and here's Drew and his dad coming from Seattle. And I don't know if he was quite in fashion at that time or not. And then his dad who was in tech, and they were just like, what do you guys do? And, you know, his dad's like, oh yeah, I'm in tech. And the guy was like, well, whatever. Not knowing that his dad like started a company and has done really well. And they asked Drew, like, what do you do? And he goes, oh yeah, I sell clothes. You know, and it was like, it was so like fine for them because they didn't care.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's great.
Right. It was something that like they all had no idea that like his dad's the shit and does really well. And they just like snubbed their noses at them. And Drew kind of took that and he told me that story, just kind of being like, right. So I'm going to be with all these people and I don't know how they're going to be, but I'm cool. Like, yeah, I could even say I sell clothes.
Right.
And he was worried about, do I say I'm in fashion or not, or that I'm LA or not? And what do I want to say? What do I want to do? And what we were getting to is just being yourself. And that idea of like, I sell clothes. Yeah, cool.
Well, I was I was very confused by part of this where he said, should he say he's a fashion designer? And then it was like kind of a secret and like, but he can't say where he designed. That whole thing was confusing to me.
Yeah. So part of that is what I was just talking about, where he doesn't want to say that necessarily because of what it might mean or how they might look at him. But he was also saying some of the things that he's working on in fashion, like he's told me about, and we've had to cut it out of here because he's had to sign NDAs, non-disclosure agreements and things that he can't talk about certain things, and he's,
I see.
He's been to events that he can tell me about, but we've had to cut out of here because they're events that they can't talk about. Right.
Right. No, I just didn't understand why.
Yeah. It's almost like, I don't think we talked about it in this episode that some of it's kind of cool CIA shit that where you're like, oh yeah, I can't talk about this. Like, ooh, really? Like, yeah. But it's not state secrets. It's
sure. It's still
fashion design. Yeah.
And what I thought was cool is that he said either way, he has to figure out he's not necessarily ready to deal with the judgment, whether it's good or bad.
Right.
And so how does he approach that?
There's a line for that we've used on the podcast early on, is that it only really stings or affects you if you're already holding that judgment for yourself.
Right.
And that's something that I don't think I mentioned that in this session, but something I tried to work on him with and a lot of clients with. If you can be okay with yourself, which seemingly he is getting better and better at. When you're okay with yourself, the judgment is theirs. And it's usually a projection of something. So he could be like, yeah, I sell clothes. If they judge that, okay, that's their judgment. He's fine with it.
Yeah.
Right. So he was moving towards that and not judging himself, whereas previously he didn't feel like it was good enough that that's what he does. I sell clothes and I haven't achieved enough. I'm not good enough.
Right.
So he was like looking for it and he would find that confirmation bias. Like he would get that from someone and he would feel like crap.
Right. So yeah. And I think now it's just going there and talking about just being him. Like you said, he said he's confident going into the wedding, especially because the worst thing that could happen already happened.
Right.
And then you told your prom story, which was fantastic.
Talking about being yourself.
I have heard that story before and it's fantastic. I mean, just you having the respect though for her to change also.
Of course. I mean, I'm going to make the joke. I can't not make the joke. That's me.
Right.
But yeah, I'm going to do it with respect. And like, of course I had the full tuxedo. But the funny thing is her mom took pictures and the picture that they remember that I still think is up in the house is the picture of me in the tuxedo shorts. Right?
So good.
What I loved about telling him this story is when I asked him at the end, if I was to do it now, what do you think I would wear? It was really cool to hear his thought process on this. Because it wasn't about me. It was about how he's thinking of it. Right.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh yeah, you probably wear jeans. Like you just wear jeans. Like, no. And I told him like, yeah, I'd wear a tux. And when I was like, because I would already be myself, I could see like on his face, it was amazing. The realization that he had of that doesn't matter because myself starts from inside.
So good. So deep, Doug. Love it.
Right.
The deep dive with Doug. So good.
All coming from tuxedo shorts.
I know. And then moving on to one of my favorite parts of this episode. Drew got a dog.
That's right.
What kind of dog is it?
It's a Frenchie, French bulldog.
Oh my God. Die, Drew. Baby French bulldogs. They're all ears. They're so cute. But what I did find so interesting during this dog conversation, I was like, hold up, rewind. The whole, I'm going to do this regardless because I'm an adult and, I would love your support on this. And, okay, I get that. I get that even at 46, almost 47 years old. Like, I don't want to do something that my parents think is a stupid thing to do or irresponsible or whatever. At the end of the day, sure, like, even though every time I've said this before, I get a tattoo, I still hide it from them as long as I can.
Right.
But when he said, normally she'd come down for a week to help take care of the puppy, I was like,
Right.
wait, really? And also, she can't take care of herself from what it sounds like.
Right.
Or maybe it's only sometimes, but what kind of amazing mom would come down and spend a week with her kid helping taking care of a puppy? Like,
well,
what?
You just said amazing mom, could be amazing mom, could be codependent mom, could be enabling mom, smothering, mothering.
Sure. Smothering,
Any
mothering.
of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah.
You can't spell smother without mother.
I never thought of that. That's amazing. Holy crap. But yeah, I mean, and again, it's not judgment. I guess it is. There's some judgment. I mean, here's some judgment all over the place, but
You? No.
oh, I am not that judgmental. Are you kidding? Maybe about like someone's outfit, but that's about all. I've had my judgments, of course, but
actually, you're right. You have opinions. You don't have judgments. You have strong opinions.
Yes, you're right. Judge. You're right. Yeah. You're right. Thank you for that clarification. Okay.
Absolutely.
But when like I have even friends or clients or just people I know whose parents are coming into town and I'm like, oh, where are they staying? And they're like, oh, with me. And I'm like, you have a 1-bedroom, right? And they're like, yeah. Oh, my mom will sleep with me. And I'm just kind of like, huh, really? And it's not a financial thing. If it's financial, I totally get it. But I'm just sort of, sometimes I'm like, my ears perk up a little bit. And that maybe that's just me. No way in hell am I sharing a bed with pretty much anyone. But yeah, it just sort of was interesting to me. So I had that sort of same feeling when he said that about her coming down, that normally she would, which to me, it just can be invalidating or super kind, super sweet.
Yeah. And I think in the context of how we were talking about it, it was not enabling the helplessness, but it was not allowing him to be an individual, to individuate, to be his own separate person.
Right.
Why he was saying, I'm going to do it regardless because I don't need her approval. I don't need her to do it for me. I want to do it. Sort of like when a kid learns to tie his shoelaces for the first time.
Right.
It's like, I got this. I want to do it. I want to have agency of myself.
Totally.
And that's
yeah.
sort of what he was experiencing. And I loved it. I don't know. When I was re-listening to this, I wondered if you would get confused by this or if listeners would, that I then flipped it.
Oh, yeah.
And said,
okay. Go
ahead.
So confused. Well, yes. I wrote in my notes I wrote, because.
The hell are you talking about?
Because I thought it was a reach. It made sense eventually, but I was just curious how your mind jumped to that. And at the same time, it makes sense. Like, so saying, regardless, she's going to do drugs. She doesn't need his support in that. She's going to do it anyway.
Well, yeah. And a slight reframe on that. It wasn't so much needing his support to do that. It was, I'm going to do this regardless of you because it has nothing to do with you. It's my thing.
Right.
So it was helping him understand the separation of what his mom does is her thing. It doesn't have to do with him being good enough, right? Or him being there enough. Yeah. And he, in the beginning of the session, recognized that when he was talking about she relapsed and I didn't feel the need to go out there. Like, right. So I'm kind of driving home. She's going to do whatever she's going to do regardless and make her own decisions regardless of him. The same way that he's going to get a dog regardless of her. It's separating them. It's recognizing, in a sense, cutting the cord and kind of going, we are separate people and that's okay. Right. And some decisions that you make, whether it's getting a dog or getting a tattoo or using, are yours. I might not like them, but I can't take them on and I can't necessarily change them for you.
Right. And definitely can't control them for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what I was highlighting and flipping it that way. I wanted to drive that so he could really see and understand the separation.
Right. I don't know if I wrote this down for myself or if you guys talked about it. I think he brought it up about how he basically can see so much progress since he started with you. Yeah,
that was in there. I mean, he was saying like he's seen so much progress in the way that he thinks and does his kind of day-to-day stuff. And he could tell of like the things that are happening are really testing him now. And it's something that I used his phrase for this, the mile markers. Like, right. And you're seeing these mile markers along the way, but it's really being able to go back and look at, right. And having reached these mile markers and seeing like certain things that I handled differently over time, I could really say, yeah, I've made a lot of progress. This is really cool.
Yeah.
And what a great way to go into the wedding next week, that he's recognizing this progress. He's feeling separation from mom. He's being more himself. And he really gets to like take that all out for a spin at a wedding with family there. It's awesome.
Such a big deal. And then he drops it at the end. He's not going to bring weed, which is a huge deal.
Right.
I was like, wow, look at you, Drew.
And it's like, okay, I mean, there might be some there might not, but he's feeling like more and more himself, and being himself is okay. So anything that used to be a coping mechanism for when he wasn't himself or wasn't feeling good about himself or good about being himself, he doesn't need as much anymore. Right. Doesn't mean that's all gone and he's never going to smoke weed again. You know, it's just,
totally.
I don't need it. I think I'm good being me.
Right. And also I was like, I mean, kudos for not flying with drugs across multiple state lines into Texas. Just
that too.
Just
right.
a thought. I know kids these days do that with their vape pens or whatever the hell, but I still think it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
So good call, Drew. Well, I'm so excited.
Yeah. We get wedding next week.
I know.
Absolutely. We get wedding and we get puppy.
Oh my God.
All right, guys. Catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.